Hey guys, I'm Sai and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of our new cricket series, The State of Play, and this is episode number 2. You can find this show and all our other shows in video format at youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation, plus the audio versions available at all the usual podcasting and radio apps and platforms. The links are in the description below. And of course, we do many shows on different subjects: MMA, football, cricket, mental health, loads of other stuff. We have expert analysts, top guests, and more. Loads of interesting people, which I'll talk about some of them in a minute. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, get involved in the conversation. But joining me today is 1/3 of our usual trio. Is West Indies batsman Mr. Kieran Powell. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I left. I just realised I left the intro with the Test match special music on there. I had to edit it out though when I put the podcast out because I got a copyright strike straight away. Soon I knew it was coming though. And our guest today is another West Indies international, Middlesex fast bowler, Mr. Miguel Cummins. How are you, my friends?
I'm good. Been a lovely day in London. So.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining us. It's looking forward to having a bit of a chat. Like, Miguel, I'm assuming you're desperate to get back playing in some form. Is there any news on when that's likely to be?
They've had some meetings and stuff, and I think they decided on what we're going to be playing, but no fixtures or anything have come out as yet, so we're just waiting on that.
It's got to be frustrating. So what we like to do when we have a guest is just to let our viewers get to know you and your tastes and such, is we give you the Magnificent 7, which is 7 questions, just quick fire questions. Just got to say the first thing which comes to mind. And okay, so we got Magnificent 7 for Miguel Cummins. First one, Curtly Ambrose or Malcolm Marshall?
Malcolm Marshall.
Dwayne or Darren Bravo? That's
Dwayne.
Harsh, that is. Oof. Flintoff, Stokes or both of them?
Both of
them. Greatest West Indian batsman of all time?
Brian Lara.
It's not even close, is it? Favourite ground to play?
Kensington Oval.
Best roommate?
I don't really have any roommates, pretty much, so I must say, well, I would say my old buddy back home, Omar Phillips.
Okay. And the laziest trainer you've ever played with?
Trainer?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, none of those.
As in player, one of your teammates.
Wow. There are plenty that could just boom. The laziest one.
Joy.
Joe Melwarkan.
There you go. So yeah, we had Kieran done that last week as well, and I did. It was always just a bit of an icebreaker to let people know. But greatest West Indian batsman of all time. I think 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Brian Lara. Got to be. But being a Welshman, I do lean towards Viv Richards myself, but because he played for Glamorgan for so long. But you can't. Brian Lara though is just broke. We're going to talk about him a little bit later actually, but he comes up in the quiz as well. But it was just ridiculous. Like as an England cricket fan, when we used to play against the West Indies when Brian Lara was playing, it was just depressing because he would just kind of they'd get like an early wicket or something, and then he'd come in and then bat for 3 days, score like 300, and it was just a waste of time watching it in terms of any chance of winning. Yeah. So, Kieran, how you been, mate? Anyway, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
This week's actually my off week from training. We had a fitness test last week, so past that, all my training has been worth it. and now it's time for the body to recover. So I've been sleeping a lot. Not much happening. Was looking forward to seeing some Test match cricket today, but we
Didn't
got
happen.
17 overs, so pretty much expecting the same thing with the weather report for tomorrow. But hopefully we get some more cricket.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get a bit more in tomorrow. Miguel, how has it been for you in this period, like lockdown and just the whole COVID-19 thing and stuff?
For me, it's been tough, hard. Away from my family and stuff. Not playing. It's been better. I've been playing, but I haven't bowled the ball since March, since we came back from preseason from Oman. So it's been good now to like actually get about running and bowling and stuff now since last week. So looking forward to playing some cricket coming up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just frustrating. It must be really difficult as well. Like, not just to be in this, in the situation that everyone's in, but to be away from your family as well. There's got to be makes it 10 times harder then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of tough, but my family is a strong family, so they're riding it out as well.
Cool. So, how much of today's 17 over masterclass did you watch today, Kieran?
I'd say pretty much all of it. It was hard to miss anything. It was so quick.
Yeah, it wasn't up too much. And what the West Indies still managed to pick up a wicket by Dom Sibley, left one that he shouldn't have, and always looks terrible. As we were just saying just before we started, it just looks terrible when you leave one like that. But what do you think his thinking was? Because it didn't look good.
Well, he wasn't in the Caribbean on the last tour, was he? So I don't think he'd have faced Shannon Gabriel before, but that's pretty much what Shannon does, is get the ball to cut back into the right-hander sharply. Obviously, he's bowling with a bit of pace today as well, which made it more exaggerated, the movement. But I think what did Sibley was the fact that the ball before actually went away from him.
Yeah.
So he was probably shaping to leave it, but because Shannon went so wide in the crease and then the angle coming back in as well, he thought he might have covered his stump. But I guess, everyone hasn't played cricket for quite some time, so a lack of judgment. You can't really kill him first innings back. He'll be studying that tonight and going into the second innings as well, so hopefully he'll make an adjustment. Well, hopefully he won't make an adjustment for West Indies.
Yeah, I think it's harsh, isn't it, if you start really criticising and going in on players if they don't perform in these initial return matches, just because it's been so long since anyone's, like Miguel just said, hasn't bowled a ball since March. And I know the guys who are playing in the Test have had the practice match the other day and stuff like that, but they still haven't had a great deal of training, practice, going in, really getting to it. So you can't really crucify anyone if they make a mistake too much. But, he does need to make sure he doesn't keep doing it, I suppose. Miguel, did you catch any of that day today?
No,
17 overs of it?
Not really. I saw a couple clips, but I was training this morning, so I lost majority of the day. I have been asking about the scores during that practice, so they were telling me the scores and stuff, but and I haven't seen the ball.
Ah, okay. So, Kieran, did anyone stand out for you in the 17 overs on the West Indies side?
I think we pretty much expected Roach to do what he did, especially in those types of conditions. I think he could have probably made the batsman play a bit more, especially Burns. He's getting the ball to leave him, but it's probably starting a bit too wide. I think that if it came a bit closer, he'd have probably gotten Burns or gotten some sort of an opportunity. So I just think that's something that he'll probably rectify tomorrow, someone with his experience. And I think the rest of the bowling unit did pretty much what we expected them to do. I think Alzari Joseph bowled probably a bit quicker than what I expected him to bowl, especially in English conditions, which it's quite difficult to bowl fast. So overall, the guys look good. Going at just about 2 and over, you'd live with that as a captain, as a team. So I think it was an even contest so far.
Yeah, I think so. England recovered pretty well. I feel like Burns is one of those guys where he'll give chances early on, but once he's in, he's a bit more difficult to dislodge. So the West Indies will want to try and get at him, you know, first thing tomorrow, whenever that is. And obviously, because there's so much rain, there's going to be a lot of breaks as well. So you'd expect it to be difficult for the batsmen because they can have to keep coming in and out. Was there any surprises in the team for you, from either side?
Uh, I think we pretty much knew that they weren't going to play straight broad. I don't know what came as a surprise to most people. Um, so I think the England team pretty much lined up as we expected it to from the 13 possible players. For the West Indies, I think obviously most people would have thought that Raheem Cornwall might have played in his last Test match, the heroics that he achieved, and as well as the reports being that the pitch is actually a bit dry down in Southampton. So it's also a bit surprising to me that England actually chose to bat first, um, playing four seamers. I thought that they would have tried to exploit whatever early conditions they could have, especially with the place being overcast and the rain and stuff, to try and give Jimmy and the bowlers the best possible chance to get some early wickets. So a few interesting tactics, but we'll see how the 4 days pan out.
Yeah, I definitely thought they would bat first. Field first, and I was surprised by that. I think the biggest surprise, I think, in terms of not necessarily a surprise for me, with I did expect Jimmy Anderson to play, but I was surprised that they left Broad out simply because Jimmy Anderson, I think, has broke down in 3 of his last 4 tests or 2 of his last 3. Um, so there's that kind of risk there. And then when you look at the conditions and Jimmy Anderson plays, to not field first was strange to me. But it is what it is. All right, so there's a couple of things which I was going to ask you guys about. First of all, the King, Mr. Sachin Tendulkar, said over the last couple of days that he thinks Jason Holder is the most underrated all-rounder in the world. Um, I don't, simply because I think he is one of the best all-rounders in the world. We talked about it last week, Kieran, but I was interested what you thought, Miguel, about that. Do you feel like Jason Holder doesn't get the credit that he deserves?
Uh, yes, I do. He does an amazing job, to be honest. Comes in, scores runs. He also gets wickets. If you look at a lot of the all-rounders, they're comparing him against. He doesn't get enough scores, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
But he does his job the way he knows how to do it. And the ranking and all these statistics speak for themselves. So if you're going by statistics, he's the number 1 all-rounder in the world. You got to give him credit for being the number 1 all-rounder in the world. His stats say he's the number 1 all-rounder. So, and in the cricketing world, stats say a lot.
Yeah, I think they did. In many ways, I think stats say more in cricket than a lot of other sports. Like I follow football vividly, and sometimes I get fed up with stats because they don't tell the whole story. Whereas I think in cricket, stats do tell a lot of the story in terms of whether it's runs conceded by a bowler, runs scored by a batsman, whatever it may be. Kieran, what's your views on kind of what Sachin has said there about Jason Holder being, the most underrated all-rounder in the world? Because obviously we talked about him last week and how good he is.
I think that it's all down to the fact that West Indies cricket isn't as covered as much globally as other nations. We don't have particularly big media outlets. So when you look at it, you've got a Ben Stokes to it. If he makes a half century, it could be amplified, or it's put out to the world by so many various news outlets. Shakib Al Hassan, being from Bangladesh, it's pretty much the same thing. as opposed to Jason Holder. If he does anything in the Caribbean, we don't have great coverage of our games on media outlets to relay that information. So I think that's where his performances get lost in translation to the rest of the world. But the ICC, obviously, the ones that are tracking all the stats and stuff, obviously they've ranked him number one for I think it's almost 2 years now. So as Miguel said,
That's a long period, isn't it?
yeah, the stats speak for themselves over a long period of time.
Yeah, and I think that's what stands out for me. It's not just the fact that he does it and he does it consistently, but he's done it over a long period of time. And at the end of the day, that's what the best players do. Is they don't just do it for a couple of months or 6 months or even a year. They do it for longer and they keep going and they keep performing at that top level. And I think for someone to be number one for that long, they deserve all the credit in the world. And when you look at some of the other all-rounders, which are around, like the guys which you just mentioned, it's a strong list of top players. The other thing I was interested in was T10 cricket, which I read like a little article which basically said that T10 cricket has reignited the sport in Fiji, which I wasn't massively aware that cricket was big in Fiji, to be honest. But we talked a lot about, we talked about 100 on the last episode. But what's your views on the T10 as a concept, Miguel?
I think there's a podcast there, to be honest. That and T20. I think in T10, like, they could got a lot more opportunities for players to get along, get into leagues. A lot more teams can be built instead of just the tournament of 7 teams. They can say 12 teams or 7, or even add it in as Olympic sport as well, to give players the opportunity to represent the country if they have not certain players. I think is pretty good.
I think people are quick to kind of criticize or jump on new ideas or new concepts or things and say, oh, it damages Test cricket or it damages the brands which are already in place. But at the end of the day, I think anything which helps cricket grow globally and just generally become a bigger sport is probably a good thing. What's your views on T10, Kieran?
Yeah, as I mentioned last week, I think that T10 is probably the way to grow cricket if you want to get cricket into sort of the Olympics and that sort of stuff. Make it truly a global game, because I think that's what football has over cricket at the moment. It's the time frame. Test cricket is obviously for traditionalist people, and if you're going to take Test cricket to nations that don't have the basic understanding of cricket, they won't be able to A, appreciate what's happening, but B, have the amount of time to keep coming back for 5 days or even a 4-day match to be looking at it something that's just going along so slowly over the period of such a long time. But if you take T10, which would be pretty much just an hour's cricket around the world, that's something that people can easily relate to. That's something that can grow the game in foreign markets, whether it's South America, Northern Asia, places like China, etc., or places like Fiji and those countries where cricket could really take off and make a massive difference, because you never know what new skills players from these countries may bring to the game as well, what new technology, the different idealizations of the game from different vantage points. So it's interesting, T10 cricket.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that side of it for the Olympics, for instance, is something which I would love to see that one day, is have like T10 during the Olympics, and you would need a shorter form of the game to grow it in those areas of the world, like you say. Do you think that if T10 was to really start gaining some fans and gaining some traction, do you think it could potentially damage other short forms of the game?
I don't think so. I think that cricket needs to expand as much as possible because the more people you have playing the game, the better it is. As I said, I think personally for me, FIFA is the best sports organizing body. Um, and just look at how they've spread football around the world, where it's pretty much played in every country. And I think um, the ICC need to take a page out of that book, and you could have different tiers, obviously, because the disparity between a Fiji and a West Indies or Australia is going to be very vast at the moment. But these are areas that they could improve at those levels of the game very quickly, as opposed to bringing them into Test cricket, which will take a much longer time for them to adapt.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at even over probably say the last 10 to 15 years, some of the nations which have been brought more to the forefront within cricket, like Ireland, like Afghanistan, have obviously done well, but they've Afghanistan. I got to say they're one of my favourite teams to watch in the one day cricket, particularly. But they. I'm trying to think of some of the other teams. Hong Kong, I think, played in some of the T20 World qualifiers and stuff like that.
Scotland's a team as well.
Yeah. So I think no Wales team yet, though.
Canada,
yeah.
Wales, you're part of England.
Can't be having that at all. But do you know what it is? I filmed an episode of My Story this morning with Adam Hollyoak, and I was talking to him about the fact, obviously, he was born in Australia, but then went on to captain England, and I was kind of interested in whether he found it difficult when he was facing Australia. Does he feel English? Does he feel Australian? Because he moved to England as I think he was about 12. And he basically said he doesn't feel Australian and he doesn't feel English. He just kind of feels like what he is. He doesn't. He didn't feel when he was playing for England. He didn't feel the same as like the guys who were booming out "God Save the Queen" and this sort of thing. But he also was professional and he wanted to win every game, and he found that he wanted to beat Australia a lot. But going back to my kind of where I was going with that is. So I played cricket. I'm a bit older than Nye, a little bit, and I sort of played like county cricket as a kid up to about 16, and then I discovered girls and other things which I found much more interesting. But that we won't talk about that. And then really, like I was thinking about the other day, is like in every sport, I'm Welsh. I wouldn't say I was anti-England, but I'm like, there's a competitive rivalry between Wales and England in football and rugby and in everything. But whereas if I had ever been good enough to play for an international cricket team, I would have, after I think it's under 16s, there's no Welsh team, you play for England. And I've always supported England in cricket because it is England and Wales. But I find it fascinating that there's a Scottish team, there's an Ireland team, but the Welsh team is still integrated within that under the English umbrella. Whereas obviously Owen Morgan played for Ireland initially, and then I don't even know if you would say switched allegiance, because I think at the time the Irish cricket setup was completely different. But anyway, I am completely gone off on a tangent there about all sorts of stuff, so I apologise. But I'll tell you what, well, I'll follow up to that, and I'll ask you guys what I asked Adam Hollyoak was, why do you think, like, it's happening in all sports more now, but in cricket it's kind of always been this thing whereby you see a lot of players who are born in different places, but they won't necessarily end up playing for that country for whatever reason. Like you've got Kevin Peterson, who's born in South Africa, ended up playing for England, and there's a lot of the English players over the years who've not, Graham Hick, Andrew Strauss. Why do you think there are so many cricketers who maybe are born in one nation and then go on to play for a different nation? Miguel, we'll start with you, mate.
I think it'd be opportunities. A lot of them would not get the opportunities back playing for their country or regional team. So I think that would be the ideal thing for them to do, to go somewhere else and enhance their cricketing ability and just try to some other thing there.
What about you, Key?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing because if you look at Kevin Peterson, they said he wasn't getting into provincial teams in South Africa and he's playing as an off spinner. And then he comes over to England and he's one of the best batsmen to have ever played the game. So I think at one point in time, South Africa had the best residential team in England that became number one. He had like 7 South African players or something.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting, and I know some people, some English cricket fans don't like it. For me, I just feel like as long as you're wherever you're from, if you qualify under the whatever rules are set out in whatever sport, then it's up to the individual. Like for instance, like Adam Hollioake moved to the UK when he was a kid, so his career path or his decision to move to the UK had nothing to do with opportunities in cricket or whatever like that. It was just his family moved over. Whereas I think maybe some players over the more recent years maybe have moved around to enhance their opportunities to play international cricket. But it is what it is, I guess. It's just one of those things. But now you find I'm noticing more and more that other sports are doing exactly the same. You've got there's some players playing for the Welsh football team who were born in England, which wouldn't have happened 10 years ago, but the managers or the people in charge have just decided that they're going to use the rules, I suppose, to their advantage, and they go looking for players who've got Welsh grandparents or Welsh relatives, so they would qualify, so they can enhance the pool of players they got to pick from, I guess.
There lies another thing. The opportunity most players will grab at that opportunity because they would not be getting opportunities in their own territory. Like you say, the guys from England go and play for Wales, they may not be able to make the English rugby team or so what. So say they could go over to Wales and make the Wales team, and vice versa for a lot of other countries, other sporting aspects around the world.
I think you have someone like Jofra Archer as well that strengthens that point because Jofra would not have gotten into a Barbados
team at the time.
But now Jofra's a star, and it would look like, in hindsight, how could he not have played? But at the time, he would not have gotten into the team. So, if without that opportunity, we probably would have not.
You're not even see a Jofra Archer.
It's incredible to think of, isn't it? Because like, if he hadn't have made that decision, or the decision was made for him, or whatever it may be, he may not have developed into the player that he, if he had decided to stay or, made different decisions, he may not have developed at the same rate or under the same, coaches or teammates. There's so many different aspects which go into a development of young players, particularly. So, were you familiar with Jofra when he was like younger and in and around that sort of Barbados scene?
Well, yeah, I was. I'm quite acquainted with a lot of the guys playing now. Played a couple with them. Played a couple games against them. So he was always a good bowler, 19 and in the younger days. He had some injuries that set him back, but he was young, but he got over them. Well, coming to England and getting the treatment and stuff, and working over here with the staff at Sussex and stuff. So for me, his decision was a great decision on his part. I respect his decision no matter what. Everyone has the right to make up their own mind and what they want to do. So his decision for me was the perfect situation for him, because at that time I would say I wouldn't say he couldn't get in, but it would be hard to push out one of the senior bowlers in the Barbados team. And you all know, playing for West Indies, you got to go through play for Barbados to play for West Indies as well. So he did what he had to do to get everyone to notice him and be a star he is today.
Yeah, I guess, like, so another thing which I'm giving all the interview away, which I did with Adam Hollyoak, but one of the things which he said about why he was so motivated when he played against Australia is the amount of grief and stick that he used to get from the Australian team, from the Australian media. They used to call him, all sorts of names, a traitor and this, that, and the other. What was the kind of general reaction to Jofra Archer playing for England?
I will say it was mixed emotions for some people. Some people who knew him was happy for him that he made a decision. Other people who didn't really know him say that, I would say, why he do this, why he going on, he be a traitor and that sort of stuff. But I would say just now, his decision to play for England was the best decision that he would ever make in his life. One of the best decisions he ever made in his life.
Yeah, I think it's by the little which I know, the little you've said, seems like it changed his career path for the better. Kieran, what do you think about that? Because I know there will be people who criticised his decision, but it's paid off for him.
I'm happy for anyone that takes a chance. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. Takes a chance and believes in themselves and gets success. Because from so many different standpoints, just if you look at the health side of it, because as Miguel rightly mentioned, he was very injury prone. So it could have been a position where he wasn't even allowed to have a career if he stayed in the West Indies, because he might not have had access to the right treatment, And then now for him to be able to not only provide for himself, but setting himself up where he can provide for his family and all the different stuff he's doing outside of cricket as well, because obviously he's doing a great job in international cricket, but all the stuff he's doing outside as well. I think he started some parallel, cricket supplies company, something of the sort, where it provides training equipment and stuff for people now, drill for balls and all that stuff, And I think that's really great, because to have learned the story of where he's come from and where he is today, and he has so much more to do to get to his ending point. I think that's amazing, and one could only wish him well, not only now, but the rest of his career, and for anyone else that has to make a move like that, because the West Indies, we also had Brendan Nash a few years ago, and it's sort of a reverse product, where he came from Australia and played for the West Indies because of Jamaican parentage, and he was eligible. So it happens in some countries more often than not, but it happens regularly throughout the world these days. So it's nothing to be frowned upon. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's I think if you've got an opportunity to get to the top of your field, whether you're a sportsman, whether you're a lawyer or whatever, a TV personality, a radio host, whatever it may be, if you can put the effort in and the time, and you have the opportunity and you've got the dedication to get to the top of your field, whatever it may be, then why wouldn't you do it? And I think to criticise anyone for that is harsh, in my opinion. So, Miguel, you mentioned that it was kind of like it was frowned upon a little bit, and it was maybe like a controversial decision in some circles, which leads me into my question for you, which in some circles was controversial, I suppose. So I'm not massively familiar with what the Kolpak thing is, so I kind of don't want to get it wrong, but from what I can gather, you signed a Kolpak contract with Middlesex, which effectively ended your international career. Is that right? Is that the way it basically works?
Yeah.
So, I guess my question is, what made you come to that decision, and what made you effectively, retire or give up international cricket?
Oh, it was tough because I enjoyed playing for West Indies. I had a lot of opportunities. Could have had a lot of more opportunities, but for me, it was all about me looking after myself and me prolonging my career per se. For me, it's like I want to play a lot more cricket. I felt at the time I was just playing one here, one there, get left out, not looked at, not given a good run per se than others. I could be wrong in other people's eyes. I could, but in my eyes, that's what I thought. So I said for me taking a deal, I thought about it for a year, talked to my close family and friends. I gave it a year, I gave it a shot, and then even though I played a test match before I made my decision, they already made up my decision that I was going to do it, no matter if I played or not. So it's for me that to prolong my career, I have a good life in the cricketing area, provide for my family as well. Probably those along those lines.
What was the general reaction from the kind of West Indies side when you announced that, or you told them that?
When it was announced, a lot of people were in shock. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people was against it. A lot of people tell me change my mind. A lot of people were like, they can't be doing that. We invested a lot. And my family, especially my mom and those guys that were close to me, tell me that whatever decision I made, they know that I'm making the best decision that will support me for the rest of my life. So, and I trust my family with all I have. So, me making the decision was, I would say, the best part for me as well. I'm enjoying playing for Middlesex. Get a good staff here, good facilities, good people around. So it's just for me to go here and enjoy my cricket. I want to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, I think I've always had the opinion that nobody has the right to tell any individual what's best for them, because everyone's individual circumstances are different. Everyone's goals, everyone's whatever it may be. Everyone's circumstances are different. So what works and what is good for you might not be the same for me or for someone else, and it's a personal decision. And I've always felt that way. Kieran, were you surprised when you heard of Miguel's decision?
No, well, me and Miguel are actually really good friends. So I'm one of
You
the
kind
few,
of knew
one
it
of
was
the
coming, did you?
persons I'm one of the persons that he spoke to beforehand, and I actually think that he made the best decision, because for some reason in the Caribbean, when you're starting to approach 30, they deem it as though you're starting to approach 70 and you're on your return, which is wrong. And having known Miguel from since he started playing for the West Indies, because I was actually his A-team captain before he got selected for the West Indies team.
Ah,
That tour, I said to the chairman of selectors, because I was already playing in the West Indies team, I said, you have to pick him. We have a series against Ireland coming up, a one-day series, and if he plays, he gets that experience, and then you could send him back to first class period. But at least that would motivate him, and that's when he made his international debut. So I've known him for a long time, and I just think that the way that the West Indies system operates, it's based around youth as opposed to letting the investment that you've made into people pay off, which I think now the county system is going to reap the benefits of Miguel. Because if you look at someone like a Fidel Edwards, who's coming up to 40 now, and he's bowling faster than ever and taking 40, 50 wickets every county season, I think Middlesex are going to absolutely reap the ultimate rewards from the investment WICB couldn't wait to get from Miguel's bowling.
yeah, 100%. I think it's like I say, for me, it's up to the individual, isn't it? And I think nobody's got the right to kind of question that, criticise that. I'm sure there was some people who weren't happy, but that's, you know, such is life. You know, you can't please everyone all the time. You got to do what's best for you. I did get someone message me a question earlier on relating to the Kolpak stuff, and they basically said that because some counties are signing these players on Kolpak deals, they're dropping county players who have come up through their systems. Do you feel like I don't know what the word is, but like, do you feel any sort of guilt or anything about that? Just that maybe some players who've come through the systems have been dropped because of the players signing these deals?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm just it's like people are signing county player, Kolpak players because they want at least a lot more experience in the team. Guys that play at the highest level, guys that could give some information to the youngsters coming up, and just for the youngsters just to be around the dressing room with people that played at the highest level, played against people that made a lot of runs, played with people that got a lot of wickets, and just try to pick their brain from what I always say. I pick my brain from a lot of guys, so some people get the information from me as well. So I wouldn't say that is a bad thing, even though it's tough though, to be honest.
Of course.
Go both. It is tough, but I think for everything is like people got Kolpaks because they want a lot more experience in the team.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you learn, especially as a young athlete or just a young person, you learn by training or working or playing with people who are elite, people who are the top of their game, people, like you say, who've played at that highest level. You get better from playing and training with those people every day. So from that side of it, I can 100% see the benefits to both the squad as a whole, but also to those young players. At the end of it, there's always many ways and many angles to look at things. So
what I can say too is, like, for me, I'm still learning as well, because there are a lot of guys that play international cricket in the Middlesex team, like, and an example of Tim Murtha, he has countless wickets at county level, and I'm still learning a lot from him still. There's Toby Roland Jones, there's Steve Finn. I'm still learning a lot from those guys, and everyone's learning from everyone. There's a couple of academy boys that know making their way into the first team around the guys, and they're enjoying it with us, even though they're not playing as yet, but they're enjoying the knowledge that we're imparting on them most of the time, in bowling, in fielding, and just being around us, pretty much interacting with us.
Yeah, and I guess, like, all the names you just mentioned alongside yourself, training with you guys, talking to you guys every day is it's only gonna help them in the long term, in developing their cricket, developing as people, just all around. The benefits, I think, probably outweigh any perceived negatives to it, I think, in my opinion. But it is what it is, I suppose. What's so the COVID kind of put a spanner in the works, I guess. But what were your, before the COVID and the break and everything, and then we don't know what sort of state the fixtures are going to be in now, but coming into the season, what were Middlesex's aims in terms of targets for the season?
First thing, everyone thing is to win the championship. That's from the players' point of view. From the coaching staff, the coaches, like, he want everyone to believe in it, believe in themselves, believe in their preparation, believe in their technique, believe that you could go out there and score the runs that you want, go out there and take the wickets that you want. So coming out of the camp is like just belief, play as a team, and whatever outcome no one will fault you. Once you give 110% on the field, everyone's going to be happy. So just go out there and do your best.
Yeah, I think it's. There was one of the questions. Sorry to go back to it. If the rules were to ever change, would you like to play for the West Indies again, if it was somehow possible?
Of course.
Top man. Kieran, you should be playing now.
Well,
You should have been playing today. I don't quite know why. Well, what's going on with that? We can't talk about that yet. We will one day.
I'm gonna send you the number for the chairman of selectors.
Yeah, I'll tell him. But I still, like, when I was editing last week's show, and I was listening to you talk about, like, you had scored the most runs and the guy who'd taken the most wickets, and both of you hadn't gone in a 30-man squad. And I just look at that from the outside, and I just think that decision cannot have anything to do with cricket. It can't. Like,
You learn something new every day. You know, every time they give an excuse, it's to suit what agenda they're trying to fulfill. So ultimately, you have to roll with the punches for as long as you can, and then you punch back.
Yeah. So are you allowed to say what the reason you were given as to why you were not picked?
I wasn't given a reason. I wasn't communicated to with or by anyone in Cricket West Indies, so I still don't know the reason personally. And it's funny because you've got guys in the squad that didn't even play in the first class competition.
Incredible. It's bizarre to me, honestly. I don't understand it at all. Okay. So, question for both of you before we move towards the quiz. What's your favourite country that you visited through cricket? Kieran, go on, we'll start with you.
I'll answer for both of us. Australia.
Yeah? You both like Australia, is you? Yeah. It's a nice place. Is there a particular place in Australia, or just the country as a whole?
Just the country in a whole.
On a whole, you know, I think Australia is just good for cricket. It's really competitive, you know. England obviously has good crowd support and stuff, but Australia just gives you, because of their competitive nature, I guess that's why the Ashes is so intense, because it just brings out the best of whoever they're competing against.
Yeah, just aggressive cricket, isn't it? Like, in a good way, though. Like, and that's what I like about it. So one of the questions which someone sent in was, have you ever been sledged, and what is the worst that you've ever had said to you during a cricket match? Miguel, we'll go to you first.
I don't think I've ever been sledged, to be honest.
No?
Fast
bowler, and you don't want to upset you.
The most thing I've been said was I poked too much from Virat Kohli when he batted for almost an hour or something So I think that was as much as I could say I've been sledged on, to be honest.
What about you, Kieran?
No, I've never been sledged. I'd probably be the one doing the sledging. Not saying something, not sledging in any racial ways or anything. Just something just to get under a player's skin or something in passing, a joke or something.
One of my favourite kind of videos to watch when it comes to like sledging, I occasionally come across it on YouTube, is the one,
you know,
it's Flintoff and who is it? He gets under his skin real quick, and it's just the way it all kind of comes together. Like he just, it's incredible to watch.
He riled him up.
Oh yeah, just constantly, just little comments until he eventually just went whoop. Who's is there, like, if I asked you who's the player who gets the most wound up or riled up during a match, or from things people say, does anyone spring to mind? No.
Not the West Indian player, no.
No.
Maybe Shannon Gabriel. But
Okay.
you don't have to say anything to Shannon. Shannon could just
That,
look at
but
you and not like you.
as in a fast bowler's nature, you get all feisty and all
Yeah.
blood pumping. So that's in a fast bowler's nature.
So Shannon, in the sense that if you play a shot that he didn't like, that's it for the rest of the day. Like he's gonna be all over you.
What about like grumpy players? Anyone like really like just if then maybe they don't like fielding or they don't like getting if they get hit around and stuff. Any sulkers? No one springs to mind. See,
No, not West Indian players.
they're all just too positive, aren't you? Like,
I would say we would try to like bounce the life out of the pitch or something.
see it.
Yeah.
That's fast bowlers. Don't want to annoy them. The ball will be whizzing around your head. Right, let's finish with a quiz. We're going to put you against each other. How many questions is there? So there's 8 questions. They're all around England versus West Indies. Some are easier than others. So let's have a see who's got the best cricketing trivia knowledge.
I think probably.
You reckon?
Yeah.
He's probably going to.
I'll give it a shot.
Kieran's probably going to Google the answers now.
Uh,
So, first question: who was the English off spinner who was bowling when Brian Lara swept the boundary to score 400?
Gareth Batty.
No, both wrong. Richard Dawson.
Oh, you're talking about the 501.
Yeah.
The 501.
No, 400, wasn't it? See, if that's wrong, that's Nye's fault because he sent me that question.
That's Gareth Batty.
It's Gareth Batty.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check. I'll have to pull him up on that. He got it wrong. Nye. It's a bad start. The quizmaster got the answer wrong. Jesus. Right. Since the year 2000, the leading wicket-taker from the series between England and West Indies has been given the Malcolm Marshall Memorial Trophy. Only one player has won it twice. Who is it?
Is it a member of this current squad?
Yes.
Is either Roach or Anderson?
Stuart Broad.
Jimmy Anderson.
Oh, I know it.
I gave you the 2 because you said him. So
I know it had to be Anderson. Anderson or Roach.
So it's Miguel. This 2-1 in the lead. He's racing into the lead. Before Brian Lara scored his unbeaten 375 not out, who held the previous record and how much was it?
Matthew Head. Gary Sobers, 364. 365, sorry.
Yeah, the answer was Gary Sobers, 365. So that makes you 2-all. And number 4, which England bowler did Chris Gale hit 6 fours in 1 over in the 2004 toast?
Matthew Hoggard.
Easy for you both. This is going to have to make them harder next time. So 3-3. Which West Indian became the first player to ever score 2 centuries in a test match at Lord's? It's a hard one, that is.
Lords.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Gordon Greenhill.
No.
I know it's one in 3 W's.
Do we tell you? George Headley.
Okay. Nice one.
There you go. Question number 6. At Kingston in 1930, England's Andy Sandham set the record for the highest score by anyone playing in their last test. What was it? And I'll give you a choice of 3 because it's like 1930. Was it 325, 306, or 314?
314.
314, I'm going to go.
325. Oof. So that was a hard one, though. They're getting a bit hard now. So in the test between the two sides at Bridgetown in 1948, what did Fofi Williams become the first batsman to do?
100 after World War.
It's a good guess. It's wrong, but it's a good guess. Any guesses, Miguel?
I'm
Stumped. He was the first. He's the first guy to hit his first 2 deliveries of his innings for 6. See, it's a tough one. So I reckon you might get this one. This last one, tiebreaker. Only one bowler has taken 4 wickets in an over in tests between England and West Indies.
Andrew Caddick.
correct. Andrew Caddick.
There we go. You drew. Impressive knowledge. It's very impressive. I didn't think you'd get as many right, see? And I even chucked in a couple of ridiculously hard ones. But it's good. I enjoy them.
I should have won because I should have said Garfield Sobers.
Yeah. Could have taken it.
Yeah.
Could have taken it.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's what friends are for. Let you back into the game.
So, just trying to see now if there's anything left which we could talk about. I think we covered most of the subjects on the docket. Miguel, are you on social media?
Yes, I am.
Tell the people what your social media tags are.
My social media is my Instagram is Miguel Cummins. My Twitter account is my nickname Lamar_Poo. My Snapchat is Miguel Cummins as well. Pretty much.
Why is that your nickname?
I got it from my grandmom.
Okay.
I got it from a young age, and it kept with me all through school, all through my grown up life, and it still is here. People still call me that nickname out to this day.
That's awesome. That is cool. That's what I like that.
One thing we did forget to ask him is who does he think is going to win the series?
Yeah, there you go.
Barring the weather, it's a draw. But I'm going for a 1-1.
There we go. I think did we all go for a draw, Kieran?
I'm going for a 1-1.
I went for a draw. I think Nye went for 2-1 to England. And
I went for a draw.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's gonna I think it's gonna rain and get washed out. To be honest,
I reckon this whole game is going to be null and void. England going to win the first one in Manchester, and West Indies going to win the last one.
not bad. Kieran, tell people where your social media is.
Official Kieran Powell.
There we go. There we go. Everywhere. And you can follow the show, which I set up the last couple of days, at State of Play _. So give that a follow, as we'll try and grow that and post clips and stuff on there as well. And you can follow Ace Podcast Nation at AceCast_Nation on Twitter, and Ace Podcast Nation on Instagram. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have loads of good shows. We've got former England international Liverpool striker Emil Heskey coming on next week, live on Monday. And as I mentioned earlier, Adam Hollyoak, and got a couple of other little guests lined up from the sporting world. So join us. But Miguel, thank you for joining us, mate. I really enjoyed having a chat. And you, Kieran, as usual. And Miguel, you're welcome to come back anytime, mate.
Thank you, man.
Cheers, Kieran, and I'll see you next time.
Cheers.